Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello, my name is Dominique. Welcome to Naturally Noni, and today's video is going to be our third video in our houseplant care series, and we're going to be talking about the fiddle leaf. And I feel like the fiddle leaf is probably the most common houseplant in my opinion, and it's also highly revered by designers. I noticed that when designers, do their space up, it's always either a real fiddle leaf plant or a fake fiddle leaf plant. And even at my job, we have like a giant, it's like 7 feet tall fiddle leaf plant right in front of the coffee spot. So I feel like it's a pretty popular plant. It's pretty easy to take care of in my opinion, or maybe I just have good luck with plants, I'm not really sure. But I do know a lot of people say that the fiddle leaf can tend to be a bit finicky. Once you get your watering schedule down, then it seems to be a lot easier. So when you water it, it prefers to be thoroughly wet, but it doesn't like to sit in water. So in other words, when you water your plant and you have a dish underneath it, wait until it's fully saturated, and then any excess water that dips out into the tray that you have underneath your pot, just dump it out, because fiddle leaves don't like to sit in any kind of wet water like that. And when it comes to lighting, they prefer lots and lots of bright light. I have mine in a south-facing window in my sunroom, as with all my plants, and so I prefer lots of light. I would recommend an east or south facing window. West and north facing windows tend to not provide enough light for them, but that's just in my experience. And when it comes to fertilizing, as I've stated before, I just use fish fertilizer for everything, and it seems to work out fine. But if you want, you could do a 3-1-2 fertilizer that's higher in nitrogen, because these plants tend to use all of the nitrogen that's in their soil. So that would be a good fertilizer that I would recommend for you to use. Or like I said, you could just use like a fish fertilizer, or any kind of indoor houseplant fertilizer would suffice for that as well. Temperature, it prefers warm, humid temps. So when it's not getting, let me see if I can find one. When it's not getting enough humidity, I'll turn this around and show you. So you see that giant hole right here? When new leaves come out and you don't have enough humidity, that tends to happen because the leaf is essentially like sticking to itself in a way. So I would suggest that you have it in a room with the humidifier. Ever since I got this big humidifier from my hubby, this thing has been happy. It has 3 new leaves that come out within literally the last week. So it loves that, and none of them have holes in them, which makes me happy. But another cause for holes could also be pests. If you have ruled out pests, then it's because the humidity level isn't high enough for it. Now I check my plants regularly for pests because, well, if you have it on one, it can easily spread to a bunch of them. So I make sure that I check my plants regularly for pests, and I also give them once a week, once every 2 weeks. I spray them with a neem oil spray, and that is my preventative measure that I use to keep the plants from potentially getting any pests. So higher humidity, I have mine set at usually between 50 and 55 degrees, and then the temperature that it likes to be at is between 65 and 75 degrees. I would not recommend putting it in a room next to drafts, or if the room is below 50 degrees, they tend to not like that, and you'll see the browning of the leaves. So this one, when winter first hit, this one right here, I was in my bathroom, and it turned out that my bathroom, one, wasn't giving it enough light, which I don't think helped, but two, it ended up having a draft coming in, so it got the leaf right here. But she seems to be recovering fine, and it's sad because it's my biggest leaf on this thing, and it has a hole and it has brownie. But it is what it is. We all learn as we go along. So for propagation, you can't make a new fiddle leaf tree out of a leaf. Like, you can't just take one of these off and be like, oh, I'm gonna make a new leaf out of it. It doesn't work like that. So let me try to, sorry, I'm trying to balance this, and there we go. So you see the 3 new leaves that came in ended up actually being like a continuation of the branch. So you would have to cut this off in its entirety, and I would recommend it's at least 6 inches long before you even do that. But I would, so you would cut this stem off, place that in water, and then that is how you would be able to propagate a new fiddle leaf tree. Because like I said, you can't just take a leaf, stick it in water. I mean, you could, but it's not going to actually grow into a tree. It would be more for decor purposes, so you could just leave it in a clear glass in the water with the roots that it would get, but it wouldn't survive as a tree if you propagate it that way. So the sap that fiddle leaf trees produce can be mildly toxic to cats, dogs, horses, and children if it is consumed. So just keep that in mind if you have any furry friends at home. Just make sure you keep the fiddle leaf out of the way of your pets. Usually pets tend to have an inner sense that plants can be toxic to them, so they tend to stay away, but just as a precaution, make sure you keep them out of reach of pets and children. As I said before, this plant is prone to mealybugs, mites, and aphids. So as I stated before, just make sure you check your plants regularly, especially in the wintertime when things tend to be a lot drier, because when pest infestations tend to happen more often. In my opinion, or in my experience, I guess I should say. Fiddle leaf actually got its name from the shape of the leaf because it's in the shape of a fiddle. And that's how they ended up naming it the fiddle leaf plant. It's actually a ficus. It's part of the, I'll put it on the screen because I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Mordecai, something like that. It's a part of that family, which includes figs and mulberries. They're actually a part of the same family. So that's a little fun fact. And these babies, if you take care of them correctly, they can actually live up to 50 years or even longer. So it's been a year, I believe, for this one. So I'm excited to see how long I can keep this baby alive and how big it can actually get, because I've seen some pretty huge ones. But obviously they grow bigger out in nature, but indoor I think the biggest one I've seen is like 7 feet tall, so that's pretty cool. I think that's it. That's all I have to say. Oh, how do you guys like the sound quality? Because do you see, I got a fancy new microphone. My hubby got me a microphone as it's my Christmas gift, so I decided to put it to test today in this video to see how I like the quality and to see if it doesn't sound like I'm whispering anymore. But yeah, that's it. That is all I have to say about the fiddle leaf plant. It's really easy, good for beginners, guys. I feel like all the plants I've talked about so far are good for beginners. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!